Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In the last video I explained how to create the best plan versus actual chart whenever you have a different target for every value in the series. And in this follow-up video I'm going to explain how to add data labels to that chart in a dynamic and elegant way so that those data labels won't clutter the chart itself. I'm going to use various techniques that can be applied in other charts as well, so I really recommend that you watch this carefully and until the end. But before we start, please make sure that you watch the previous video. I'm going to put a link here on the top right corner for you to reach it easily. Did you watch it already? That's great. Let's start. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe if you like this video. Okay? Now we can start. Okay guys, so we are going to start from where we left off the previous time. If you remember, we had like this table where we had 12 months and we have a target and an actual for each one of them, and we created these three columns so that we could create this great plan versus actual chart. Now we want to add the labels. Let's see what happens if we do them, we add them normally. So we just go here to the plus and we click on data labels. You can see that it's a pure mess, okay? Because, for example, we see many zeros here. We see many items which are getting close to each other, etc. So it's not so, it's very cluttered and it's not so readable, okay? So we want a better way. Now, first of all, I want to enlarge this a bit so that we will have more spaces. We have many columns here, so it's better to have more space between each one of them. I'm going to, let me remove the data labels. I think it's better now. Okay. So the idea is like this. We will do it gradually. I want, first of all, to change this actual to be much smaller. Let's see, for example, 10. Okay, so that we will have good examples here. Okay, now the idea is that I want that any value that or any rectangle or stacked column that shows up here, which is too small, I want it to have an empty label, or I don't want it to show a label at all. Otherwise, it should show the label normally. So I can see here that, for example, this one, you can see that it's coming between 80 and around, let's say, 70, okay? Let's say I'll decide in this case that anything that is below 20, I don't want it to show any label, okay? So, the idea here is that we need to create actually we need to create formulas that will determine whether the label is going to be presented or not, okay? And we do this by creating additional columns. So we will start off by, I will start with the same sequence, okay? Because it will make it easier to create the formulas. So I'll start with the actual, which is this, this series of gray columns. So I will create a new column called actual labels. Okay, the column name is not so important. It won't show up anywhere, but it's good for documentation and for future reference. So let's write this formula. I will write a very simple formula. If this actual is higher or equal to 20, then I want it to show up. I want it as is. Otherwise, I want an empty string to be populated in this cell. Okay, so since this is 10, it's less than 20, then the label will or the value here in this cell will be empty, and for all the rest, since they are 20 or higher, then they will show up. Okay, so now I want to go here and I will add the labels normally. Okay, so you can see that the 10 is displayed. It's not answering my criteria. I want only 20 and above to be displayed. So I'll select them again and I'll go to here to data labels and more options. And now the trick is actually to tell Excel you can see here in this option, sometimes it shows up like this, so you need to go to this one, as you can see here. I think it's label options, and we need to untick this value, meaning that don't take from the values from the original column. However, I want it to be taken from cells, meaning from other cells or from another range. So where is this range? I need to select this range. Okay, I'll press OK. So accordingly, you see that all of them are displayed while this one doesn't have any value. Okay. In the same way, we need to create other columns for the target not met and for the overachievement. So let me create here additional columns: target not met label and overachievement label. Okay. Now, since we created them in the same sequence, I could actually drag here. Okay, I just click here and I drag one. Let's see, it worked. Yes, you see, it's using like relative reference. So target not met, that's fine. And I will drag again. I will also get the correct formula. If overachievement is more than 20 or equal to 20, then take the overachievement value, otherwise take an empty one. And now I can do like this, okay? And now we can add the labels. Let's click here, data labels. I will go to more options. Here, don't take from values, but take from cells. Which cells? We are on the target not met, right? Yes, this is the way. And now we do like this. Oops. Plus data labels. More options, like here, take from this one, okay, and don't take, I'll undo, okay. Let's see, label options, don't take the value, and values from cells, here, like this, okay. Now it looks much better, and actually the target I also wanted to show up. I think it's important. So I selected, these markers. You can see I click on one of them and then all of them are selected. And now I can click plus and data label. Okay. So it looks nice. Now, one important thing here is that it's not so good to have a constant value, the same constant value mentioned in formulas. Okay. So I want to put it as a parameter here on the top. I will write 20, okay, and I will write, I'll call it threshold. I will name it, okay, and now I want to replace, in all these formulas, I want to replace all the instances of 20 to this one, which is J1, or it's named now threshold, okay. So I'll select all of these. I will press Ctrl H, which is the keyboard shortcut for replace. And I will write replace find what, which is 20, find 20, and replace with threshold. Replace all. Great, everything is fine. Now here it's complaining about inconsistent calculated column formula. We can quickly do like this. We can mark all of them and ignore them, or we can select the first row and do like this, select all of them and paste the formulas so that we'll tell it it's all aligned. Okay, it's fine, leave us alone. Okay, so now you can see that every formula looks like this. If the actual is higher or equal to the threshold, then give me the actual, otherwise give me an empty string. And all of them are written correctly. Okay, now where is the problem in this? Now what is missing is that what will happen if we, for any reason, the values here change, or the scale here changes due to the values that we have here. So for example, let's have a look. If the a value here will become, instead of 70 here, okay, we will, or this one actually, we will put, for example, 200. Okay, look what will happen. Okay, everything is shrinking down. Okay, if we make it even higher, 300, you can see that we start these ones which are 20 are still showing up because this is the formula that we told the Excel to do it. If we increase it, okay, they are shrinking, but the label is still displaying. So we need a better way to do this, and basically we need a better way to determine this threshold on when the label should be displayed, okay? So the idea here is that what I would recommend is that we can look at this full scale as the 100%, okay, and we can consider each one of these steps, let's say, is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so let's say that whenever we are at 10% from the scale, then we are going to show the value, meaning that if we are at this height, like one step here in the grid lines, then we want it to show up. If it's less than that, we don't want it to show up, okay? So we'll use the 10% threshold percentage, let's call it. I'll put here 10% next to it, and then I'll say threshold percentage, okay? Like this. Oops, sorry. It should be like this one. Threshold percentage, okay? Okay. Now, so we want, how will we find what is the maximum here? I'm not sure there is a formula for finding the maximum here, but a pretty good indication can be found in the maximum value among all these, the values that we have here, okay? So since we changed the maximum value here, the maximum value became 400, then everything shrink down, and the maximum value on the vertical axis has increased. So what I would recommend to do is that we should this threshold should be a function of the maximum value that we have in the chart, okay? Meaning that instead of having this threshold calculated as a constant, it will be a percentage, but it will be a percentage from the maximum value that we have in the target and the actual. So instead of 20, I will replace it. I will say, give me the maximum, okay, open parentheses, of target and actual full, okay? Give me the actual this, I will close it, and now I'll multiply it by this threshold percentage, okay? So in this case, it will be 40, okay? Because 10% out of the maximum value, which is 400, it will show up. Anything that is less than 40 won't show up, okay? Let's try to change this to 300, for example. Okay, then 200. We will see that things will start showing up. Or let's do it the opposite way. 400, okay, so we can see that this 40 is showing up. Now, if we shrink it more by making putting a bigger value, 500, okay, you will see that the 400 is gone. This 40 is gone. Only these values are showing up. If we go back to 100, for example, everything looks fine. Only these small ones are not showing up.